Hello, so today we are going to do problems from weekly contest 345. The first problem is find losers of the circular game. So with this problem, we have n friends that are playing a game, and you can imagine them sitting in sort of a circle. And they are numbered from 1 to n in a clockwise order, okay? And moving basically this is just a definition of how you move clockwise. So if you move clockwise, then from the ith friend you will move to the I plus 1th friend, and then when you reach the end to the n friend, you will come back to the first friend. So first we are numbered from 1, not from 0, and then when you reach the end you go back to the first one, okay? And the rules of the game are that the first friend passes the ball to the friend who is k steps away from them, and k is given in the input, and this happens in clockwise order. So k steps in this clockwise order, and then once that friend has it, they pass it to the next one k step away again, which would be then 2k step away. So the next friend, actually it's not k step every time, right? It multiplies. So the first friend passes it to the one who is k step away, and then the friend after that passes it to the friend who is 2k steps away, and then the third friend passes it to the friend who is 3k steps away, and then after that 4k steps away. So you get the idea. Every time the number of steps multiplies. Okay, and so basically at the ith turn, the person holding the ball would be I multiplied by k steps away, okay? From this ith friend, okay? So the I plus 1 friend would be I multiplied by k steps away. You get the idea, hopefully. And the game finishes when you pass the ball to a person who already received it before, okay? And the losers of the game are those that once the game finishes because of this condition, they didn't receive the ball at all during the entire game. Those are the losers. And the problem asks us to return those losers. Okay, so that's the idea. Now let's take a look at an example here. So k equal to 2, n equal to 5. Okay, so what happens? So first the ball is at the first friend. So that friend needs to pass it to the one who is k steps away. And so that's 2 steps away. So that's 1 plus 2. That's the third friend. Now this friend needs to pass it to the friend. Remember, it's 2k steps away, which means 4 steps away. Okay, so when you do 3 and you add 4, that's like 7 modulo 5, that's like 2. Okay, so it goes to the second friend, and you get the idea. Now the second friend needs to pass it to the one who is 3k steps away. So 3k steps, that's 6 steps away. So 2 plus 6, 7, 8, right? So 8 modulo 5, that's the third friend. And now this one already received it here, so we stop. And so the ones who received the ball are 3 and 2. And so who are the remaining ones that didn't get it? 4 and 5, because it's from 1 to n, so 1 to 5. So 4 and 5 are the remaining ones, and that's what we return. Okay, so that's the idea. Now let's see how we can handle it. Okay, so how do we tackle this? Well, here the main thing to think about is how the number of steps each time. So the number of steps, first it's k, right? Then it's 2k, then it's 3k, then it keeps going, right? Okay, so basically that means that each time you wanna add these up, okay? And so we want to make sure that we increase it. So this is the part where we want to make sure that we increase the number of steps, okay? The other thing is that we want to get the losers players. So how do we get those? Well, we can just mark the used ones that we use during the game, right? And then once we finish, let's define a set here. Then once we finish, we have all the players, right? We know all the players are just from 1 to n. Right, so we can also put this in a set, and now we can just subtract the players set, right, from the used set, and that will give us all the players that didn't get to have the ball during the game, and this would be our result. Okay, So that's the idea that we will establish here. Now the other thing is that the problem says that when you get to n, you need to go back to 1. And so here, how do we do that? Well, here we just need to do modulo n to roll back to 0. Now the other thing here to notice is that when you do 2k steps, the next step you need to do +1 to get to that friend. So what's the formula that we should use here? So the formula that we should use is that for each, so the new player that we receive the ball is going to be, however we need to multiply the k, so 3 here or 2 here, let's call it multiply, we multiply it by k, right? And then we just do modulo n, and then we do +1 to say, so for example, when you reach 0, you need to go to 1, right? And then when you do, because we number from 1, we need to add this one here, otherwise we will number from 0. So this would be the player each time that receives the ball. This multiply, we will need to increase it each time. On each pass, we'll need to increase it, right? Because first it's 1, and then when we go here, it's 2, so +1, and then when we go here, it's 3, when we go here, it's 4. So we need to increase it each time. So that's sort of the formula that we'll use. Now, the only other thing that we need to establish here is, when does the game end? Well, the game ends if we visit or if the ball is received by someone who received it before. And we already record in used those who received the ball. So we add here x. And so before adding x, we just want to check if that person has received the ball before. If they did, then we stop the game, right? So how do we do that? We can just check if the x that we just calculated, if that's in use, that means this person received the ball before, and so we need to stop. So we need to break here, and then at the end we just return this. So one correction I want to do here, this shouldn't be +1, right? Because when you are at this position 4k, what we want to multiply by is both 1 + 2 + 3 + 4, right? Because if we consider we are starting from 1, we go here, we need to multiply by this sum, right, to get all of the steps counted. And so this multiply each time as we go through these I numbers, let's call them from in the range of n, each time we'll need to accumulate I, okay? So that's just the difference here, because here we are not doing x plus the previous x plus this. We are starting from scratch, from 1, right? And so that's why we need to remember this needs to be +i, okay? Okay, so now implementing the solution, we need a used set, and then we need to initialize the multiplier that we will accumulate in, and then we'll go through the range of the numbers. So remember, this is the overall steps for each friend, for each ball that we'll receive. And so here the multiplier each time we said we accumulate by I, and then the value or the position of that player is just the multiplier multiplied by k. That's what the problem asks us to do. And then we want to do modulo n, okay? Because when you reach n, we go back to 1. But here this will make it go back to 0, and so we also need to account for starting from 1. And that now if x is in used, which means this player already received the ball, then we stop the game. Otherwise we just add it to the used set, and we continue. And now here, what are we need to know the losers, right? So first let's get the list of all players. So all players is just from 1 to n. In Python we can do it like this. And then we need this to be a set so that we can subtract the used players. And so, or we can call this played or received ball, just so that it's super clear. Received ball, okay. And now we can, what are the losers? Well, just the difference between all players minus those that received the ball. Okay, and we want to convert this to a list, and this is what we want to return. Now one caveat here is that this particular problem just needs the numbers sorted, and so we just need to sort it. If you try to run it without sorting, you will get a case where it fails because it's not sorted. And that should be it pretty much. So if we run this, it passes. Let's submit. and that passes. Okay. So yeah, the trickiest part is just this accumulation here. Now, in terms of time complexity, we are doing this loop, which is O of n at most, right? And then this is also O of n. And so overall it's O of n time. And then in terms of space, we are using this set, we are using this player set. So overall it's O of n space as well. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this problem. Please like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.